welcome, New Orleans, and wherever you are. This is Wednesday, so it's Baldy and The Blonde. I'm Michelle Godin here every Wednesday at 4, along with Tom Coates, who is remote. And we had a little bit of trouble getting on this just now, but I hope everything's okay. Tom, can you hear me?
I'm here.
All righty. So what we got today?
Oh, boy.
Nothing but fun.
Real diabolical stuff. We'll be talking about what these people are calling human engineering and transhumanism.
Yes.
And if we have time, we'll get to some other things, but that should keep us busy for a while.
Yeah, I think, there's enough going on with the Trump and the Epstein and, I don't know, Trump's lost his mind. Here, he was on a roll and he's just self-destructing with this. It's insane. So, anyway. But this transhumanism, this is something that will affect us for years to come, and people need to know about it now before these things are instituted and it's too late. And so we're going to listen to some clips from some leaders in the technocracy, which is, I guess you can think of it as like AI and all of the artificial intelligence and the rise of technology in the world. And we're going to listen to some pretty alarming ideas from these crazy people about what humans should be doing and how they plan to deal with us as we become obsolete. So I think, go ahead, Tom.
Something tells me they're a lot more than just ideas. I'm sure they're in the works. They're working on this stuff behind the scenes somewhere.
Yeah.
They're not. These are not just professors sitting back in an easy chair, conjuring up some ideas. This stuff's being worked on, and you really need to hear it to believe it.
Yeah, it's crazy, and we're going to first hear from a guy named Matthew Liao, I think is how he says his name. I'm not sure.
Yeah, Liao.
Yeah. So, Tom, give us a little intro about the charming Mr. Matthew Liao.
Well, you know what? I don't have that. I forgot. I don't have that in front of me. Do you have that?
Sure. Yeah. He's a director of the Center for Bioethics at New York University School of Global Public Health. He's a professor of bioethics, and he basically says that he uses the tools of philosophy to study and examine the ramification of novel biomedical innovations. Mm-hmm. And he was born in 1972 in Taiwan.
When you put it like that, it sounds harmless.
Sure.
I'm sorry. I talked over you. You said he was born in Taiwan, 1972, correct?
Yeah. So,
okay,
let's hear from Mr. Liao. Go ahead and please play clip number 11.
Climate change is one of the biggest problems that we face today. We may be beyond the point of no return. Scientists believe that we have no choice but to consider geoengineering. This is large-scale manipulation of the Earth, such as spraying sulfate aerosols into the ozone layer in order to increase the reflectivity of the planet. But geoengineering is very, very risky.
So first of all, and Tom, I'll throw it to you in a second. First of all, geoengineering, just for fun, since we've had all these crazy weather events, I see all the time local meteorologists in New Orleans and nationally saying, there's no such thing. So I would just recommend you go to geoengineeringwatch.com. But this guy is accepted by all the people who actually issue a lot of the rules that we all live under. And it's just a matter of fact that they're spraying chemicals in the air because they're crazy and want to reflect the sun's rays away from the earth, okay? Like they think that they are God, they are all atheists, and they are all collectivists, whether you want to call them communist, Marxist, whatever. They don't believe in the individual. They believe in the collective and that you, the individual, must sacrifice for the quote, greater good, close quote. So here he is acknowledging geoengineering, saying it's risky, so he has some alternatives. Tom, you got something to say?
Well, yeah, I would just say that when you just take it as a given that humans are affecting the climate to such a dangerous extent that, will destroy the planet, it's going to lead you to some really horrific conclusions, like we need to geoengineer the planet, or we need to engineer humans, is what we're going to be hearing later from Matthew Liao. So
coming up
that's
next.
Why the debate about climate change, it's not just are we heating the planet, it's what are we going to do if crazy people think we are, and where are they going to go with it?
Yes.
So, right?
Yes.
So let's go.
Let's hear his next idea, which is, I have to say, I've been following these creeps, him and Yuval Harari, for a while, and I have never heard this one before, and it's been out there a while. So, if you could please, Kobe, play clip number 12.
I want to consider a class of solutions that have never been considered before. Human engineering. It involves the biomedical modification of human beings.
Yeah, let's just roll right into number 13. Got 13? Okay.
If we eat less meat, we could significantly reduce our greenhouse gas emissions. Now, some people would be willing to eat less meat, but they lack the willpower. Human engineering could help. Just as some people are naturally intolerant to milk or crayfish, we could artificially induce mild intolerance to meat.
Okay, first of all, the guy says crayfish. And we all know
that's
it's
the most offensive part of that quote.
It's crawfish, man. Come on, Mr. Taiwan. And you know they flood the New Orleans market with Taiwanese crayfish. Anyway, this is a guy who believes that we need to engineer humans, and believe me, it gets worse than this. Engineer humans so that we get sick if we eat meat. And because eating meat, cows pass gas, methane gas, and they're ruining the earth. So no more hamburgers and no more steaks, Americans or humans everywhere. We're going to induce a sickness or sort of like an allergy to meat. Tom?
Yeah, so what he said was that there's people who are willing to eat less meat, but they just can't because they can't resist it. Even if by eating meat, they'll contribute to the planet's destruction. So that doesn't make any sense. Like, those people would be psychos. And now one thing right? It's like, the planet will blow up if I eat meat, but I'm going to eat meat anyway. It's absurd on its face.
Well, of course.
But later, which I did not clip, he said that for those people, they could wear a patch, like a nicotine patch. They would wear like an anti-meat patch.
Oh, my God.
Right. And as you pointed out, this is nothing compared to the stuff that's coming up in the later clips.
Oh, yeah. It's just unbelievable. I just can't believe, as interested as I am in tyranny and things that they're doing to affect our independence and liberty, I just really did not know about this guy. He is a creep. Okay, so let's hear his next recommendation for what they're going to do to humans. Please play Kobe clip number 14.
Well, hang on 1 second. So it's what they're going to do to humans specifically to combat climate change. That's what this is all about. Every one of his suggestions.
Yes.
Another possibility is to have smaller human beings. Being small is environmentally friendly. So how can we do this? We could use pre-implantation genetic diagnosis. This is something used in fertility clinics to screen for embryos with genetic diseases. We could use it to screen for children who will be smaller.
Really? Okay, so that means, I guess, you conceive a bunch of children put them in a petri dish, let the weirdo scientists look at the genetic makeup of the children and kill the embryos that show normal, large, healthy children and pick little people, small people, because they have less impact on the earth, our God, their God, the earth. Now, I'm sure none of this applies to them, of course. Most of these transhumanist freaks have lots of kids. So, Tom, you have anything to add to the need for small humans?
Well, no, it's just the devil is always in the details, right? So he can say that, oh, hey, wouldn't it be nice? We'll just use IVF to make smaller humans, right? How harmless does that sound if you're not really paying attention? Well, but if you are paying attention and ask, okay, so how would you implement that? So like you said, you'd have to have government authorities actually monitoring, okay, so which of these is, first of all, somebody's going to have to set the right size, which is how big can a baby be?
Yeah, like what, 4'5" at full,
right.
What's going to happen to the NBA, I'm just saying, What happens?
Yeah, right.
I mean, come on.
Well, the tallest guys will be 5'9", and hey, maybe I'll be a star.
Yeah.
But,
Hey, there you go.
But always, when you hear things like that, just imagine what it would take to implement it, and only then can you really see how diabolical it is. Because you have to have someone or a board say, how big could a person be? How big could they max out?
We're not going to have anybody larger than 5'5". And if you think this is creepy, what do you hear when we come back after the break? This is going to be more discussion of transhumanism, the plans by very powerful people on this earth as to how we should live going forward in order to save the earth, so they say. Of course, I don't believe that for a second. We are Baldy and the Blonde, and we'll be back in a few minutes after the break to further discuss transhumanism and the creeps plans for you, your children, and your future. At Baldy and the Blonde, follow us at Baldy Blonde on X. Welcome back to Baldy and the Blonde. We are discussing this afternoon transhumanism, which involves the engineering of human beings to make us less problematic for the fake crisis of climate change. So far, we've played some clips from a complete freak named Matthew Liao, and he has recommended bioengineering humans to make us smaller, like 4'2" or something, so that we take up, we need less food, we need less air conditioning, we need less big, our houses can be smaller. I guess we can live in those little coffin apartments that they want us to live in, and really creepy, and you feel free to look him up, Matthew Liao. So when we went to break, he had just discussed, we had played a clip from him about making smaller children and, having kids engineered through IVF, I can't say it, fertilization.
In vitro fertilization.
In vitro fertilization. And, remove any embryos that showed normal 6'2" boys and, 5'7" girls, whatever, and go for the shorties. So, anyway, Tom, I'm going to play the next clip in a minute, and then you just talk after this clip. This is another gem from Mr. Liao talking about more plans as to how they're going to make smaller people. So, Mr. Engineer, Mr. Kobe, could you please play clip number 15?
Another possibility is you can use hormone treatment, and so it closes the growth plate. So other things being equal, larger people consume more energy than smaller people.
Unbelievable.
Okay, so, right, larger people, you heard him, consume more energy than smaller people. Like you said, need bigger houses. It takes more fuel to transport them. He points those things out. But here, when he's talking about closing the growth plates, he's talking about doing hormone treatment on children who've been born.
Yes.
The other one was on using IVF, right? This is about you take kids who've already been born, and then you close their growth plates with hormone treatment. Now, his bio that you read earlier doesn't call him insane or Dr. Frankenstein, but it should, because this is crazy talk.
Yeah, it's evil. Yeah, I mean, I think that when a child is showing signs that he's not growing appropriately, they purposely interfere with the growth plates so that they don't close too soon. And I'm really kind of winging it on that, but I feel like I've read something about that. So this is the opposite. He's definitely calling for closing the growth plates. So let's say you have a kid who escaped death by the in vitro committee that reviewed your mom's eggs and decided which ones could live and which ones could die, and a tall kid slipped through the cracks. Well, we'll just be monitoring your kids, the government, the transhumanist committee, and Johnny's growing too tall. Got to get in there and, I guess, operate on him to close the growth plates. I mean, right?
Well, I think he said they do it with hormones.
Okay. Yes. That's true. He did.
However you do it, it's nuts. And I think currently it can be done. Like if someone has a medical condition,
right,
and they're growing out of control. It's a very rare condition. I knew a guy who once grew 13 inches in 12 months.
Oh wow!
So there's this bizarre. He grew from 6'4" to 7'5".
Oh wow!
Yeah. but that's one in the how many people? So,
Yeah.
but there is a procedure where they can close them. But he's talking about doing it to anybody who's going to be over the government approved height of probably 5'7" or something.
Oh yeah, at the most that would be a tall person. Who knows what he means?
Little kids too.
Sheesh. Oh, it's so incredibly evil. And, it's because they think they can control everything because they have substituted themselves for God. That's it. We can decide who lives, who dies, how tall you can be, how much you can eat, whether you get sunshine or not, how the weather is regulated by them, not by natural processes. So anyway, it gets even creepier. So here comes creepy. Kobe, please play clip 16 from the eminent Mr. Liao.
Many environmental problems are the result of collective action problems where people are unwilling to cooperate for the greater good. We could give people oxytocin in order to increase their willingness to cooperate.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
All right. Let me say this, because you've been knowing me. We've known each other for years,
Yes.
and you know that I've been saying for a long time that the question to ask these totalitarian freaks and the left in general is, what will you do to those of us who don't go along with your plan, whatever your plan is? Because we just want to be left alone. We don't have a plan for them.
No,
They have a
we have
plan
no
for
desire to control others. And that's
No.
the difference between the left and the right and that's why the right is more disorganized. Like you'll see the left marching in lockstep no matter how crazy the plan is because they are collectivist and believe in the hive mind. And all we care about is leave us alone to be the free individuals that God created us to be.
Well, yeah, and exactly. But he has this plan, right, to get everybody to cooperate, which sounds like such a great thing. Wouldn't it be great if everybody cooperated? But what's their plan for those of us who say, no, I'm just going to go over here and do my own thing, but I'm not going to hurt anybody? Well, now we hear at least one guy has an answer is jack us up with oxytocin.
Yeah. They're going to give you
Right.
oxytocin. They'll probably just put it in the water or something where you don't have any control over it because
right.
But they had great success with the COVID vaccine where so many people's response to an order that you take an experimental shot was bah, bah, yes, I'm a good little sheep. Show me where to go and I'll take it. And so they know that about 75% of people are total sheep and will do anything that the government says they should, especially if they wear a white coat.
Yeah, we have a clip about that later that's even freakier. Believe it or not, the next set of clips is even freakier than the stuff we're talking about now.
It's true.
It is.
Well,
the next one is same guy, Matthew Liao, talking about human engineering and climate change, and that's clip number 17, Kobe.
Hit it, Kobe.
Why should we take human engineering seriously? Because geoengineering is very risky. If it goes wrong, geoengineering could end up destroying the entire planet.
Okay.
Right?
Can I jump in here?
Yeah.
Okay.
We got a minute 20.
Okay, he has his priorities all wrong because instead of playing Dr. Frankenstein to engineer humans, he should be shouting day and night about the dangers of geoengineering if it's going to destroy the entire planet.
Of course. But he's putting the needs of the planet, which is in no trouble anyway, over the needs of human beings. That's crazy.
Well, and when he says, it's like saying that we should take driving with terribly worn out brakes seriously because driving with no brakes at all is very, very risky. You shouldn't take either one seriously.
Yeah. We have, unfortunately, I'm sorry to say that when we come back from the break the break's going to come up in about 30 seconds, we are going to play more transhumanist clips of delightfulness so that you can see what these freaks have in store for you in the future. And just start noticing that most of the people who are not for freedom are for collectivism, whether they go by the name communist, socialist, democratic socialist, whatever, they all want to control you. And we will have more clips from the delightful left when we come back after the break. We are Baldy and the Blonde. Catch our shows at baldyandtheblonde.com where all the replays are commercial free. Welcome back. This is Michelle Doty, and this is Baldy and the Blonde. You can check out all our old shows at baldyandtheblonde.com. And today we are playing the creeps of all creeps, transhumanists Matthew Liao and Yuval Harari, with their plans for how humans can be bioengineered to be smaller so that we don't take up as much space and use as much goods, and we can protect the earth, not the people. So, continuing in that vein, if you haven't listened to the beginning of the show, you really ought to go back because you're probably not going to believe what you hear. So, continuing on, let's find what I think is the crowning glory of Mr. Liao's bizarre, horrific ideas that he and many people around the world who are highly influential have adopted as their goal. Okay, let's hit it. Please, Kobe, with number 18.
Human engineering could also be more liberty enhancing. In response to climate change, some people think that we should adopt China's one-child policy. This is very drastic. But given certain fixed allocation of greenhouse gas emissions, human engineering could give families a choice between having one large child, two medium-sized children, or three smaller children.
I mean, really.
It's hard to comment on that, but let me take a shot. Well, and besides, now on the introduction, when you coming in from the break, you said to make children smaller. But remember, to make everybody more cooperative too. They want to engineer humans to make us more cooperative.
Oh yeah.
For the collective. Remember that. There's that.
Yes. Give us oxytocin. Yeah, that's great. Yeah.
But you notice here, he said that human engineering is liberty enhancing, right?
Yeah.
It's liberty enhancing. He also used the term fixed allocation of greenhouse emissions. So every family apparently would get a fixed allocation, and then the government would monitor the size of your babies, and then you make sure that then along the way they have to make sure you don't exceed your allocation. And he calls this liberty enhancing.
Yeah, it's not our idea of liberty, that's for sure. And the idea that you can either choose one large child, two mediums, or three smalls. It sounds like a McDonald's drive-through order, you know. Do you want a medium or a large? Would you like to biggie that? Or it's insane. All right, now we're going to switch to the ever delightful and more famous than Liao, Yuval Harari, world-famous atheist and creep. Tom, you want to introduce him?
Yeah, and first I just want to say, if you think that what you've heard so far is bad from Matthew Liao, what's coming up is worse.
Yeah.
Now, the guy's name is Yuval Harari. He was born in Israel. This is all off of his website. Born in Israel in 1976, calls himself a historian and philosopher. He's been a lecturer at the Department of History in the Hebrew University of Jerusalem. His books have sold 50 million copies in 65 languages, so he's very influential. He regularly discusses global issues with the world's most influential leaders, including heads of state. And he's given 2 keynote speeches, shocker, at the Future of Humanity at the World Economic Forum. That's a shocker.
Real shocking there. That's our good friend Klaus Schwab. You will have nothing and you will be happy. That is...
And he's stepping down, I think. And I have read rumors, that Yuval Harari may step in for him. I don't know if that's the case, but
he'd be perfect. Yes, he'd be perfect. So
he's perfect great for it.
Let's hear it from the horse's Yuval's mouth. If you would please, Mr. Kobe, play clip number 21.
This time, if you're not part of the revolution fast enough, then you probably become extinct. Once you know how to produce bodies and brains and minds, so cheap labor in Africa or South Asia or wherever, it simply counts for nothing. Again, I think that the biggest question maybe in economics and politics of the coming decades will be what to do with all these useless people. The problem is more boredom and what to do with them, and how will they find some sense of meaning in life when they are basically meaningless, worthless. My best guess at present is a combination of drugs and computer games.
Okay. There's a lot to talk about there.
Yes.
So one of them, he says that right now, the U.S. and the West in general gets cheap labor from, what do you say, Africa and South Asia.
Yeah.
And what he's saying is that if if you can engineer what he said produce bodies and brains,
Yes.
right, that will be docile and work for the man and the government. That we don't need cheap labor overseas anymore because we got it right here.
Yeah.
That's one thing he says. And then what did he call people?
He says, what are we going to
Useless
do with all these useless people whose lives are meaningless and worthless?
and worthless. Yeah.
Yeah.
And how? What does he suggest?
The solution is, quote, a combination of drugs and computer games. But he does have an interesting qualifier. He says, right now. Now, we also know what's happened with other tyrants in the past when they think they have too many people or they need to teach people a lesson. Look at Mr. Stalin,
yeah.
Mr. Lenin, Mr. Hitler, etc. Pol Pot. Just kill them. 200 million people killed by communists and other totalitarians in the 20th century. But New York's about to elect one. Anyway, this guy.
Oh, by the way, there is one item that's not on his bio I didn't read.
Okay.
But it's an interesting point. I haven't seen his interviews about what I'm about to tell you, but I've read about them saying that he has said this in interviews, that he does not have a smartphone.
Oh, isn't that? Wow.
He wants to limit his exposure to technology and social media.
No way.
Smartphone. According to what I've read, people writing about the interviews he's given. Maybe I'll try to find a clip for that later. I don't have one for today.
Wow. I mean, but that's very instructive. If that
sure.
creep, that cretin, doesn't have a smartphone, we better all rethink what we're doing with our little computers in our pockets and purses. So, because it's definitely something that has been turned against us 100%. So, let's have more insight from Mr. Yuval Harari. Kobe, could you please play clip number 22?
Humans are now hackable animals. The whole idea that humans have this soul or spirit and they have free will and nobody knows what's happening inside me, so whatever I choose, whether in the election or whether in the supermarket, this is my free will, that's over.
Yeah. The idea that humans have soul or spirit and free will is over. That's who's influential at a world, leadership level, having the ear of, the World Economic Forum. We all know who they are, and they are creeps.
And again, his books have sold 50 million copies. That's the kind of thing he's saying in his books, presenting to heads of state, presenting to World Economic Forum.
65 languages, too. That's just alarming.
Yes, in 65 languages.
Yeah.
So the day of having a soul or spirit and free will is over. So I guess they've removed our soul, because I guess we used to have one, but those days are over.
Well, you see how they do it, because he flat out says humans are hackable animals. So how are they going to hack us? I'd be mighty concerned about the way that they hack us. Who knows? I don't know what they have in mind. Maybe they put something in the water. Maybe there was something in the COVID vax or some other mandatory shot, or who knows?
He'll get to that here in a couple of clips.
Oh, good. Okay.
Yeah,
That's excellent. Okay. Well, let's end the drama now and move on to clip number 23. Yeah. Is that right? Yes.
At least some corporations and governments will be able to systematically hack all the people. We humans should get used to the idea that we are no longer mysterious souls. We are now hackable animals.
There we go.
By hacking organisms, elites may gain the power to re-engineer the future of life itself.
Lovely.
So, wasn't it, there's an awesome quote, and I think it was C.S. Lewis.
Yeah.
It goes, you don't have a soul, you are a soul, you have a body.
Oh, I love that.
This creep, it's beautiful. I think that was C.S. Lewis. It's beautifully put. And now this guy comes along and says, no, you're not souls, you no longer have a soul, implying that we once did, right? You no longer do, but I guess they've removed it. I mean, he's diabolical and demonic.
Absolutely, and it's
What's he even talking about?
totally anti-God, which is that we are souls on this earth to serve a purpose, but that we shed these bodies. You know, we were before, we are now, and then we shed the bodies and move on, and this is just a temporary existence. But that's because if you don't have any belief or any faith, you're forever trying to extend this human existence, I think. That's my opinion, but...
Well, I mean, if there's nothing, because mankind
Yes.
is obviously supreme on this earth, in this realm, and not in all regards. You know, we don't have the best eyesight, and we're not the strongest, but in general, we are. You know, we're at the top of the heap
Yes.
on Earth. But there's billions of people believe that we're not top of the heap in this universe. But if you don't believe that, then you think we're just straight up at the top of the heap if you don't believe that there's a God or a greater being of some kind. And if you think we're at the top of the heap, you're right, exactly. These people that's why they play God, because they believe they are God.
Well, yeah, and they're trying to merge with machines so that they can better the things that are weak in themselves, or not all humans, because clearly for some of us, we're just going to be hacked and turned into useless animals, as they said, living on oxytocin and being very small. It's a lot like, honestly, if you haven't read Brave New World, really worth, it's almost, people talk about 1984, but it seems to me that Brave New World is more on point for where we are right now, where people are partying and taking drugs and, having wild sex and not really having committed lives to any greater purpose.
That is true. I agree with you that what we've heard so far in these clips is more Brave New World. But the last couple that we have, it transitions beautifully to 1984. Wait till you hear it.
Yes, it does.
Really,
and we have
a combination of those two dystopian futures.
And those are going to have to wait till after the break because we have 40 seconds left. But when we come back, we're going to go over some more of these really creepy transhumanist clips. I really recommend you go back and listen to this. It's a very important show. I don't know how much coverage this gets in the general press, but not enough. And I do know there's a guy named Joe Kent who covers this a lot. I can recommend him to follow him. Anyway, we are Baldy and the Blonde covering today transhumanism, and every week talking about cutting-edge tyrannies and things you need to know about at Baldy Blonde on X and baldyandtheblonde.com. You can listen to all of our old shows. Be right back. Welcome back to Baldy and the Blonde. I'm Michelle Godin along with Tom Coe. It's here every Wednesday at 4, and today we are talking about the weirdest, creepiest, most bizarre topic of transhumanism. I wish it was science fiction. It is not. There are very influential people in the world. We are just addressing 2 of them today and playing some of their most diabolical quotes. I highly recommend you go back and listen to the show at baldyandtheblonde.com. Later, if you missed it, all of our shows are there and you can play them anytime at your leisure. But we have collected a series of quotes out of their own mouths in their own voices, demanding smaller people, because smaller people eat less and have less of an impact on the earth, that the government should be able to tell you what size children you can have, how many children, and give people oxytocin to keep them happy in their new, diminished, useless lives, as they call us. So, with that, Tom, before we move on to the next clip, do you have something to add to my cheerful introduction?
Well, I just want to make a small correction. Remember, the oxytocin, you have to get your totalitarian plans straight. Oxytocin was to make us cooperative, and to make us happy that's drugs and video games.
I thought oxytocin also made you high or something. Do I have that?
I don't know. I just know that Matthew Liao, he said, let's just use it to make people cooperative.
Yes.
They won't cooperate with the collective for the greater good. Those are his words.
Yes. Well, I'd have to look that up. I think that does make you loaded and, happy, or kind of like, I don't know, definitely more willing to go along with what they want you to do, be a useless human with nothing to do, playing video games and doing drugs. That's what they want you to do. So,
now we've moved on from that to the surveillance state, which is horrific. And like we keep saying, we've been saying this repeatedly through the show, if you think what you've heard so far is bad, it's about to get worse. And that's still true. As bad as you've heard, it's about to get worse.
Yeah, and the reason for this show is not so you can, oh no, this is awful. What shall we do? It's so you'll pay attention and fight back.
Yes.
You know, and make this. Just make sure none of this ever happens. But it does require vigilance because these are powerful people. So.
Yeah, this is not inevitable. It's not like it's not a fait accompli that it's going to happen.
Right.
If we're vigilant, like you said. So we need to teach younger generations that no, this stuff is bizarre. It's not normal.
Right.
Like,
and
they're trying to normalize it.
Yeah. So like when the government says, you know, and I love Bobby Kennedy, but sorry, I'm not, reporting my heartbeat to the government. You know, not happening. If I choose to do that on my own because I want to monitor something, I have to tell you, I don't think it's a good idea to even use any of those apps that track your health because who knows what it's actually being used for. But that's surveillance, and that's a means of. But anyway, we'll get into it more later. Let's let it rip with clip number 24 from again, the man who thinks he's God, Yuval Harari.
Could look back in 100 years and identify the coronavirus epidemic as the moment when a new regime of surveillance took over, especially surveillance under the skin, which I think is maybe the most important development of the 21st century, is this ability to hack human beings, to go under the skin, collect biometric data, analyze it, and understand people better than they understand themselves.
Wow.
I'm speechless over that. Right?
Yeah. Orwell is kicking himself in his grave for having missed that one. Surveillance under
the skin.
And get to know people better than they know themselves. And now we have one last clip.
Yes, let's roll with that.
It's been true. It's even worse than the one you just heard.
He kind of expands on how COVID was so important to developing the sheeple that we have become. Clip number 25, please, Mr. Kobe, and this will be the last one.
It is critical because this is what convinces people to accept, to legitimize total biometric surveillance. If we want to stop this epidemic, we need not just to monitor people, we need to monitor what's happening under their skin, their body temperature. Like we walked in here, we had to go through a body temperature test. Now they're using it to see whether you have the coronavirus. But exactly the same technology can determine what you think about the government. Anger is a biological phenomena just like disease. It's not some spiritual thing out there. It's a biological pattern in your body. With this kind of surveillance, you watch the big president, the big leader, gives a speech on television. The television could be monitoring you and knowing whether you're angry or not, just by analyzing the cues, the biological cues coming from your body. Are you angry about what you hear? Are you frightened? Are you bored?
That's a dead giveaway when he says that the entire point of all of this is to see how you feel about the government. You notice that?
I couldn't have missed it. Yeah, it's and the fact that he says that it's the same technology that they use to monitor what's under your skin, like take your temperature during COVID, is how they will, through your television, know that when you're watching a speech from the president or someone else, they can tell if you're angry or not. Well, he doesn't even act like that's in the future. He acts like that's now.
Well, he says the technology exists, and it does, and I'm sure they're testing it, beta testing it somewhere, or using it.
Yeah.
That's possible too. But notice that he didn't say that they can use this to better society, see if what's in society and in our culture, what things do we react well to, and what things we react negatively to. Nope, it's what you feel about the government.
Yes. It's all about control, as you and I always say. It's as we started the show, most people who are not on the left, who are not collectivists, who do not want to rule your every move, from the children you have to the food you eat to the farts your cows emit. We just want to be left alone, and that's what the United States was set up for, was to be left, the right to be left alone, and to pursue life, liberty, property, and the pursuit of happiness. But these people want to control everything.
And it really is incumbent on this generation to make it clear to the younger generations that this stuff is not normal.
It's got to wrap it up,
evil.
Tom. We'll see you next week.